weekend, out of your week, to better yourselves. And I don't just mean better yourselves because you're like, yay, I'm better, but we do this all the time to support our students, right? When we come to a conference like this, we are looking for ways that we can reach those unreachable kids, ways that we can take something that didn't work and make it more meaningful in that way. So what I want to do today is kind of share with you some of the tips and hacks that I've been doing to kind of redefine what note-taking can be in the classroom, kind of redefine what annotation can be in the classroom, and to reach those kids who have no idea what annotations are. So a little bit to introduce myself, I'm Joe Marquez. I'm an education strategist with CDW, and basically what that means is I'm an EdTech TOSA for the entire West Coast of the United States. So yeah, it's awesome, right? I didn't even know that this job existed. When I heard about it, I was like, really? There's a job like that? I get to go around to districts and just collaborate with teachers? I'm like, that's phenomenal. I am a past 8th grade science teacher and then an instructional technology TOSA with Clovis Unified School District. And I am, hey, Central Valley, original right here. But I love to collaborate. So I always put my Twitter handle up so that if you have any questions about any of the tools I share today, I want you to contact me. Twitter is the easiest way. And then all the tools that I'm going to share with you are on my Walklet, and I'll show you where you can find that. And also, there's a blog post of everything I'm going to share with you off my buddy Matt Miller's website. I am also a lead writer with Avid for their brand new digital teaching and learning strand. And I help them, Avid's in the house right there, which is advancing digital strategies in the classroom with a Google focus. So I'm going to kind of share with you some of the things that we're working on as well. The session is completely interactive. I'm a firm believer in whatever you think needs to be said now, or else you're not going to say it or you're going to forget what you thought. So if I say something that resonates with you, please, please, please tweet it out. If I say something that you disagree with, please, please, please tweet it out. Okay? I always tell people, we should be sharing things inside the classroom the way we share things outside the classroom. I always used to say, if you want to share things with your family and friends, post it on Facebook. If you want to share things with your fellow educators, post it on Twitter. If you want to share things that nobody will see, post it on Google+, because nobody will see that, right? I can only say that joke for about another month until it completely goes away. But please, please, please tweet out, and if you tweet, you get a sticker. If you miss the sticker swap, I have Sons of Technology stickers and all the cool things you can get. So the first thing we have to understand, we are agents of change. Teaching is the most important job in the history of the world. And the only way that we can make sure that people understand that is if we are constantly challenging ourselves to find new ways to reach these kids that are coming to us because they are completely different than they were 10, 15 years ago. Completely different. So we have to make sure that we are those agents of change and that we are sharing out with each other. The days of being the lone wolf in your classroom has to be over. We have to share. And I talk to teachers all the time, and they say, well, what I'm doing in the classroom isn't that amazing. I don't need to share it out. And I say, yes, it is. You are an amazing person. You are doing amazing things in your class, and you deserve to have your voice out there because you may make a positive impact in somebody else's life just by tweeting it out. So make sure you are absolutely sharing. Now, the first thing I want to talk about this is growth mindset. Because changing the way you take notes in the digital world is a big mindset shift. But we have to understand that there really shouldn't be a graph like this. Because whenever we label a teacher as a laggard, we're kind of putting them in a corner, right? Whenever we label a teacher as an innovator, we're saying like they're always doing this stuff first. We have to stop putting teachers in a corner. So I'm like, instead of a growth mindset attitude, we should have a tamasha attitude. Does anybody know what tamasha means? Tamasha, yes. A big show, a spectacle, right? So I heard the word tamasha when I was watching a documentary on cricket. I know it sounds riveting, right? But the thing about it is, in India, they took a game that was created by the British who had suppressed them. They took it and made it their own. They took a game that could last up to 3 days, and they turned it into a fast-paced game that related to them. And they say cricket is now tamasha, which means fun, exciting, important, but also full of uncertainty. And I say that's how we should be looking at teaching every day, with a tamasha attitude. Because as a teacher, we have to be having fun. Now, I don't mean every day you're going to go in and it's going to be rainbows and butterflies. There's some Mondays you go to school and you're like, oh man, how many days left until the end of the week? The answer is 5. Always 5 days left on Monday. But we have to have fun knowing that we are changing lives and knowing that we are making a difference. That has to be fun. We have to be excited at what we're doing. Whenever I taught, I always thought of the most boring lessons that I had when I was going to school, and I said, I'm never doing it that way. If it bored me, it's going to bore them. How can I push it forward? Dave Burgess always says, teach like they don't have to be there. If they don't have to be in the seat, how many students would actually still be there? That's the way we have to look at things. So I say that teaching is very important because of that, but the most important part of tamasha is that it's okay to be uncertain. You don't have to know if a lesson is going to work out. You don't have to know if a tool is going to work out. Remember, technology will never replace teachers. And I tell teachers all the time, never focus on a tool, focus on the learning outcome first. And I tell teachers all the time, and don't worry, you are the biggest tool in the classroom, right? Nobody can replace how big of a tool you are. I tell them that all the time. So teaching is incredibly important. So if you can take a tamasha attitude towards your teachers, if you can change the culture of your school to embody what tamasha means, then you will start a revolution in your district. Because we cannot simply just be a path that they step over. I don't want to be a stair in a staircase they never look back on. I want to be a sail on their ship they're constantly using. I want to be a memorable person. I want the kids to be able to say, Mr. Marquez, that 8th grade science class changed the way I looked at learning. I now understand that learning can be fun and important. So we have to make sure that we are an integral part, a positive part in our students' lives. Because we do not have the option anymore just to tell the kids, good job. Okay, good is no longer appropriate. We have to push them to be great. Otherwise, we end up getting kids that are just pushed to the next grade level, not really realizing their full potential. If we push them now, they can achieve it. They may not like you while you're doing it, but they will appreciate it in the end. And we cannot let the frustrations of technology overcome that innovation. We can't say, well, it didn't work, so I'm going to stop. I just recorded an episode of our podcast, the Sons of Technology podcast, all about failure. And it's okay. Because on Twitter, what do we always see? We always see the rainbows and butterflies of something a teacher did. Oh, look how great this flip grid worked out. Oh, look how great this hyperdoc turned out. They don't show you the nitty-gritty of all the fails that happened to get there. We have to remind ourselves, learning is hard. Innovating is even harder, but it's incredibly important. We can't let excuses stand in our way, because the enemy of innovation is monotony. This is where the idea of changing the way we take notes came about. You see, this is my friend Scott. It's funny that I call him friend because he was my 7th grade math teacher. And I ended up working with him at Alta Sierra in Clovis. And I caught a picture of him. I go, hey, Scott, are you spending all your money to print everything for the end of the year? He goes, no, that's just for this week. I was like, good Lord, right? Because that's what he is used to, right? This is the way we've always done it. We cannot let that happen. I get teachers that also say, well, the reason we don't use digital notes is because studies show that handwritten work is better than typed work. Number one, I asked them, which study are you referring to? They don't know. They just heard it somewhere. But there are studies out there that say that, and I believe it 100%. If all you're going to do is have your students type the notes instead of write it, have them write it. We have to redefine what note-taking can be in the digital age, right? Note-taking, the act must be active, not passive. You're not just listening and regurgitating what you hear onto keys. You are interacting with the text. You are adding multimedia to the text. You are highlighting in proper manners in the text. So this is what I want to share with you, because this is a problem. If we don't teach the students now how to use it properly, and we say, well, the studies show, and they get to college, they're not going to know truly how to use those devices, and they are going to struggle. No student is ever given a laptop when they graduate high school, and they say, Grandma, sorry, I can't take that. Studies show I should be writing everything down. They're going to take it, and they're going to find a way to use it. But if we don't do it, they're not going to know how to do it properly. So I tell teachers all the time, if not now, when? Right? If not now, when? If it's hard for them to do it in your class now, imagine when they're left on their own to do it. We have to change. And I think sometimes it's fear that stands in our way of that innovation, right? Fear of change, fear of losing relevance, fear of becoming obsolete. But I tell you, as a teacher, you are amazing. Your history, your pedagogical approach to education, that's all you need. And if the tool fails, you are still an amazing teacher who can do a perfect job getting these kids involved. So we cannot let fear of something we deem as our weakness, we can't let that weakness paralyze us from changing. We need to be empowered by who we are. We need to be empowered that we are great educators who will do a great job no matter what happens. And when that fear falls aside, amazing things can happen to us. So I want to share with you a few different things that you can do in the class, little tiny nuggets that can really take note-taking and annotations to the next level, to really annotate. Now, I'm going to be posting my slide deck onto Sketch, so all these will be available to you. But if you want to check out my Walklet, I'm going to post this as well with all of my favorite extensions that I'm going to be sharing with you today. And then also, if you really want to see where this came from, I wrote a blog post for my buddy Matt Miller on this entire thing, step by step, of how to redefine how you annotate and take notes in the Google realm. So all of this is available to you. It's also on my YouTube channel, sonsoftechnology.com, step by step on everything that I'm going to be sharing with you. Here's the first simple thing. I love giving current event articles. But if you send them to this website, what happens? You have all these ads that pop up, all these little educational squirrels where they're trying to read, oh, I can't read anymore. I have to see what Stella has, right? Or I got to see what's the most local read. It takes their mind off of it. So one easy extension to use is Mercury Reader. You click on it, it gets rid of everything, right? It only leaves the text and the pictures associated with that text. That's an easy way to clear it. But I want the students to interact with this text, so I'm going to take it off the internet by hitting Control-A and Control-C, and I'm going to put it into a Google Doc for my students. I'm not just going to place it in here. I'm going to start making a 2-column note template for them. So all I do is I go to Insert, Table with a 4x4. Simple as that. I'm going to move this over. Now we have a 2-column note. What I'm going to do now is paste everything that I just copied right into the document. I'm going to delete the pictures because they're going to be bringing in their own images along the way. And I'm going to keep everybody's name on there just so that we give credit to where we got the article from. Now, as the kids are interacting with this, we now have to start bringing in some multimedia components to this. So we want to start bringing in some images or some audio or some video with audio into it. So what you're going to do is you are going to simply utilize the insert drawing function. Now, the great thing about this is they finally added the option to add a drawing you already have created. So I have a giant archive of templates that I'm going to be sharing with you. So if you want them to be utilizing these templates to write in, you can absolutely have them do that. But I'd like them to start from scratch, so I'm going to click on New. From here, I'm going to bring in a image. So I click Image, Google Search, Nancy Drew, because that's what the article's on. Click on it right there. Let's say I bring this in, hit select, hit select, there we go. And I bring it in here. And some of you may be asking, well, why didn't I just bring it in directly to the text? Now they can interact with the image, right? So now they can actually start bringing in some shapes, some callouts, text boxes. When they save and close, it is now right there embedded. And if they want to change it, all they do is double click on it. Trust me, you can edit it. Just like that. Now, we're also, when you're writing, how many of you have written notes or you've read something and you maybe jot something down really quick, you go, oh, I'll remember that later. And then you go back to it, you're like, oh, what did I write? I can't read my handwriting. I don't know why I wrote that. I'm really big in now. If you remember something now, document it. So there is a great extension, which is the next extension that I'm going to share with you, called Talk and Comment. And watch what this does. It's pretty amazing. I don't know how it happened, but it does something pretty cool. It puts a little speaking icon right off to the side, and all you do is this. Let's say that you learned something by reading this title. Click the comment and click record. Nancy Drew is incredibly important because she helped me read, or something like that. And you hit the check mark, and this is what it gives you. It gives you a link. You copy everything except where it says voice note. You paste it in the comment. I'm going to delete where it says voice note, and watch what it does. It creates a play button for you. So right in the document, you now have voice notes to remember what you are doing. And you may be asking, is this only available in Google Docs? It works in every G Suite tool. Google Slides, Google Sites, Google Sheets, all of them. So if you are actually grading these, if you're going through students' grades and you want to actually leave voice notes, that's all you have to do, because they'll be available to the students when they go and view it. Is it available for Google Classroom? Yes. So if you have students who are struggling with reading, or you have students where English is their second language and they need to hear more of that English consistently, you can paste it right into Google Classroom, and it'll create a play button for them to listen to as well. Here's one of my favorites. It's one of the easiest to do, and it seems very simplistic, but there's like an M. Night Shyamalan thing that happens at the end, right? A big surprise. And so this is an add-on, and if you don't know what an add-on is, it's something that you click where it says add-on, and it adds a functionality to your Google Docs you didn't have before. There's many of these that are on here. The add-on that I like best is the simple highlight tool. Hold on, it's refresh. So the highlight tool gives you a highlight library that you can create for different classes, different grade levels, different courses, and it allows you to say what every single color means. So let's just say we created this topic called important information, main topics, or unknown vocabulary, words they don't quite understand yet. And all the students do is they go through the reading. Let's say that this one is important, so they click. This one is important, so they click. This is a main topic, so they click. So all of these little things that they're coming through to do. When they're done, all you do is click on where it says by color. Extract by color on your current document. And at the very bottom, it creates a table of every single highlight that you made with a color-coded key so that it's easy to go over everything. So at the end, you can say, okay, extract your highlights, tell me everything that you know about your important information, and it's all in the same column. Very easy, super quick, and very easy for the students to do. So we've highlighted, we've added images, we've annotated on top of images, we've added voice. What about video? One of my favorite tools to use for video, because it's super easy and quick, is Awesome Screenshot. Awesome Screenshot does take screenshots, but it also lets you record 30-second videos of your screen and your voice. I know you could use Screencastify, but that's if you want to do longer videos. Something short and sweet would be your Awesome Screenshot. So all you would do is this. You click here, record my screen. There we go, and then record my screen. And so it goes 3, 2, 1. And so everything I'm doing now is being recorded. So what I can say is this part of the text is extremely important, so make sure that you understand this for the exam that's coming up. Make sure you come back and go over this date, because Mr. Marquez also told me that 1930 is an incredibly important date for Nancy Drew. And then they click here and hit stop, and it automatically creates the screenshot, and everything that you did on the screen with your voice is now available for the students, and all they do is hit upload to Google Drive. And it gives you a link, Control-C, you go back to your document, and now you have a link directly to that video that you just created to remind yourself how to do a concept in the classroom. Super quick, super easy, and we've been doing this with second grade students, third grade students. It's just super easy for them to do. If you wanted to, you can actually download it as a WebMV file and drop it into a Flipgrid. Now you have a grid of every student's responses for a particular question. So those are some of the things you can do directly into Google Docs. But what if you want them to actually do work on the website itself? What if you do send them to a website that doesn't have a lot of ads, and you pose a question in Google Classroom that says, I want you to read this document, and I want you to annotate the one paragraph that you think is the most important. So all the students have to do is click on Awesome Screenshot. Let's say that this right here is the most important paragraph. You grab it, they annotate right on top of it. You hit done, save it to your device, and now you drop it into Google Classroom. A quick and easy learning artifact that can happen during the moment of instruction, not after the fact. Learning artifacts are one of the key components to the new AVID course on digital teaching and learning. The idea behind a learning artifact is that when our students are outside in the real world and something amazing happens, or something funny happens, or something they want to remember happens, what do? They take a picture and they post it on their favorite social media with maybe a blurb of what happened. And they don't do it after the fact, they do it right then. So why can't we do that in our classroom, right? Why can't we utilize those techniques in our classroom to have them remember that moment of learning? And so we actually created something that I kind of added on to Tara Martin, my friend Tara. She did what's called a book snap using Snapchat. And our younger kids can't really go online to get a Snapchat. So we created a slide snap. And what a slide snap does is it documents the moment or the aha moment of learning during your instruction. They take a picture with their computer of what they are remembering. It could be a picture of the activity, it could be a picture of the project they're making, it could be a picture of their book. They read a paragraph that really resonated with them. So let's say that the thing that resonates with me is just my face. So I'm going to click Insert Image from Camera, Smile, and all they do is drop it where it says Insert Image. That's number one. Number two, they add an emoji to it. How did they feel when they were doing this activity? Were they happy? Were they sad? Were they frustrated? Or are they still confused? So they bring one of those over right on top of their slide snap. Then they type what they were doing right in this text box, and this is where they can put their video reflection. From where I talked about right here, the awesome screenshot, the video that we just created, it's already in our Google Drive. And so now what we do is hit Insert Video from my drive that is most recent. There it is. Select, and you now have that video component right there. I have teachers that do this whole class. So they have a slide snap with 30 slide snaps on it, and a student goes and does one, so they have a whole class snapshot of learning happening in real time. So a learning artifact, this is a scaffolded version, but the idea is they add media, they add an emoji, and they either add voice or video. All these components to memorialize that learning. So in a slide snap as well, you can have them pretty much do whatever you want with other images. So if you want them to bring in an image from the internet, it's as simple as using the Explore tool, right there and there at the bottom. And you can search no images for CUE, that's strange. Okay, different CUE, but there we go. And we're right here. Easy to grab and drop right in on top. Has anybody ever used Google Keep before? Google Keep is a huge tool students can be utilizing. Even though you do have laptops, students still like to utilize their phones. It's like the new age blankie, right? They love to keep it close to them. It holds all their things, right? They keep it with them no matter what. Even if you have the best devices in the classroom, they still want to be able to utilize their phone. So you can do something as simple as taking a picture of a document in class and snap that document. It automatically places it in Keep, which is on the internet. And if they wanted to add that as their learning artifact, Keep is now embedded into all G Suite tools. So all they do is click here. It brings up all their images, all their document. Oh, don't look at my credit cards. So let's say this document, all you do is click on it and say add the slide. And it brings it right in to the document. So if you wanted them to annotate on top of one of the handouts you gave them, they can absolutely do that right in this tool. Everything that we've shown you is changing the way they interact with their notes, but there's one thing that is not changing, and that is what they are doing together. None of this has a collaboration component. I'll tell you a story that I had with a student, and it made me feel very bad. What I did was I went to a website, found a current event article. I used Mercury Reader and printed that as a PDF. I'm like, that's nice and neat, and I gave it to my students. I then had them annotate with highlighters on the physical document. And all of my students were doing this, and there were a few boys who weren't. So I'd go by and say, hey, let's get to work. Everybody else is working, let's get to work. Oh, okay, no problem. Walk around the room again, look around, ask them again, hey, boys, you really need to get started and get this work taken care of. Okay, we'll do it. By the end of class, they still did nothing. And I was getting mad. I'm like, I gave you enough time. You guys are going to stay after class, and we're going to chat. So they stayed after, and I said, I don't know what's going on. Am I not giving you enough time? Am I not doing this? I'm not doing that. And they go, do you want the truth? I go, yes, I want the truth. And they said, I don't know what you're asking me to do. I don't know how to I've never learned what I don't know any of this stuff. So I can just highlight randomly, and you can give me an F for not doing it correctly. Or I can highlight nothing, you can give me an F for not doing it. I'll take the nothing. And I was like, oh man, I felt bad, right? I assumed they had that skill. I assumed, but they did not. So I had to think to myself, what can I do to get them to understand how to annotate? And I thought hard, and then I found a tool called Edji, edji.it. And what Edji is, and we're all gonna, I want you to have your phones out because you're all gonna join it to see how easy it is to collaborate on an annotation together. So all you do is this. It's edji.it. It's 100% free. They do have like a pay version, but I say use the free stuff, it works, right? You click on Create and New Reading. Let's say it is the Nancy Drew article that we want. So once again, Control A, Control C, and all I do is I title this Nancy. I want it public. I want it, let's say that it's for university. Let's say the subject is language arts. And then all I do is paste it in. It takes away all the images and just brings in the text. And then you hit share. Done. So if you could go to edji.it/GP4Q, you will join our collaborative annotation tool. The kids don't have to log in with more than their first name. They don't have to sign up for an account. It's completely privacy acceptable. Right now, up in the corner, I can see there's 27 of you logged in. 32 of you logged in. Give about one more minute to try and log yourself in. So now all you need to do, oh, there we go. Everybody is now annotating on the document. And so what I told my boys that didn't understand how to annotate, I said, well, you know what? You don't have to annotate. You don't have to highlight. You don't have to leave comments. But you do need to leave replies on as many comments as you can. Read the comments and see if you can start understanding what it means to annotate on top of a document. And so to ensure that they were doing that, I'd click on Students. And I can see everybody's name right off to the side. And I can see everybody's comments right off to the side. And so if I want to see what Pat was doing, I click here. And I would only see Pat's comments. I can see he left any replies. And if he did, on whose is he leaving replies onto? If right now you guys probably don't see everybody else's work because I have the vision turned off. I usually have my students do 10 minutes of this on their own first and try to annotate. And after 10 minutes, I turn the vision on, and then everybody should be able to see everybody's work at that point. There is a feature here called Feed. I call it Fire Feed. And what it does is the more a particular part is being highlighted and commented on, it changes from yellow to orange to red. And so you know what part of the document is resonating with your students at that point. And so you know that waging a war against the book series is a pretty hot topic for the students, so you're already preparing what discussion you're going to have once the annotations are done. In Avid, there is a strategy called philosophical chairs. And the students would read an article and they would come up with, are they for the topic or are they against it? Some of the students, once they are getting into their philosophical sides, they don't want to talk because they're not sure if their comments actually are following along everybody else's thoughts. This way, they can start seeing that, oh, I'm saying the same things that they are. I'm going to be more confident when I'm speaking out and sharing out into the classroom. This is extremely important because those boys that didn't know how to annotate that first month of the year or that first month of school, by the end, they were no longer just replying, they were leaving comments because they were emulating their fellow peers. So it was helping them out, and it allowed them to contribute even if they didn't feel their skills were up to the same par as everybody else. And of course, everybody loves analytics. So you have a great area of analytics. I have mine turned off because I don't use this for any grading. I use this for a model that I call inspect, redirect, make correct. During the course of my instruction, I'm inspecting my students' knowledge to see if they're going in the path that I want them to go. And if they're not, if I see everybody's highlighting the wrong paragraph, like that's not the important thing, I can redirect them. Hey, let's focus more on paragraph 3 in this reading, and then give them time to make those corrections. Inspect, redirect, make correct allows me to ensure that the learning that I want to happen is actually happening in real time, not after the fact. And some of you are noticing when you highlight, you have 3 different options. Most of you are choosing the text option. But for our younger kids, when they're not very good at typing, maybe they want to leave just an emoji. right? How does that line make you feel? And they get to choose that emoji right down there on the bottom. Or if your students aren't very good at typing, but you want them to do more than an emoji, there is a voice recorder option. They can record their voice instead of typing it. So it's pretty interactive in that fashion. What if I want them to now take what they've learned from this document and then now record it in their notes? Normally what the students would do is keep tabbing back and forth. Keep tabbing back and forth. That gets tedious. So you say, okay, split your screen. Well, on a Chromebook, that's very difficult to do. On a Windows machine, it's still difficult because you have to click and drag and move. So one of my favorite extensions for this activity, when I want them to not only work in the edgy but also take notes in their 2-column notes, is I use an extension called Duelist. Duelist allows you to just do one click. It goes, how do you want that screen to be split? I want it even, and boom. It instantly splits the screen. Now I have my reading on one side, my notes on the other. Super quick, super easy. And some of you may be like, well, you know, that's just a real quick tool. The thing is, students can spend like 5 minutes trying to do this on their own or 1 second with a click. Instructional time is incredibly important in the classroom, and saving that amount of time to get them to do work is pretty important. If you wanted to bring it all back together now, all you have to do you click Duelist, 1, and it merges them back in 1 click. So super easy, super quick, but very functional when they are working. How many secondary teachers are in here? Secondary? Ooh, yeah, excellent, right? In secondary, it's incredibly important to be tasked with finding good information, factual information. So we need to make sure that when they're on a website, they are reading it properly. So being able to tame the internet is very important. And also take notes on those websites. The problem is a website isn't paper, so you can't leave like a note on that paper. At my home office, I have sticky notes all over the rim of my monitor. It looks like a lion because it's all the way around. And I go, I wish there was a way to do that to a website. And there is. You can now leave sticky notes all over the internet, and they'll be there forever until you delete them. So once again, let's go back to our favorite Nancy Drew article right here. Let's say that I want to leave a note to myself to come back and read this section. I click on Note Anywhere. Note Anywhere. So all it is a little sticky note. You can click on it and leave a note. This is a must read. And you can move it wherever you want. And it's there. So watch, if I exit off this and I go back to it later, it's going to be there until you delete it. And by the way, if you don't know that shortcut to reopen a tab, Control-Shift-T, learn it now, because I can't tell you how many times I walk by a student and they quickly close out of a tab. I go, why did you close that tab? Oh, I was done with that tab. I don't need that tab anymore, so I close the tab. Right? Well, you have all the other tabs open. Well, that tab doesn't need to be open. Control-Shift-T, I see what you're doing. Clash of Clans, get off of that. Right? Or Fortnite, get off of that. So Control-Shift-T needs to be in your arsenal when you're working in the classroom. Now, this is important, but now I want to be able to highlight here as well. I want to highlight an area that's important, and then now add a sticky note to that area. So I added something called Super Simple Highlighter. That's all it's called. Super Simple Highlighter. And this took me forever to figure out. It wasn't super simple when I did it, because I thought you had to highlight and then click on the tool. You don't do that. You right-click, and it gives you the option now. It goes, what color do you want? Green. So now you have it highlighted with the note right next to it. So now we are taming the internet to get our kids to really understand how to pull successful information out. And now, how do you know this is all happening? That's where the screenshot tool comes in again. You say, okay, halfway through, I want you to take a screenshot of what you're doing and post it as an artifact in Google Classroom. So all they do is click on the artifact. Done. And just push it out to Google Classroom. Consistently checking on, are they doing it correctly? Are they doing it the way that I want? Now, here was a problem that I also came apart on. Let's say I do close out of this website. A couple days go by, and you're like, all right, I left all my notes on that website. What was that website? I forgot where I left that website. And you think it's gone forever? It's not, because if you right-click on your note anywhere and go to Options and Note Summary, it shows you where you left every note on this document. So you can always go back to your notes, click on the page, it'll take you right back to your website. So it leaves the breadcrumbs behind for you. Another thing that I like doing, and how do I say this? Sometimes my CDW friends don't like when I do this, is you could turn any computer into an interactive panel, right? You can write anywhere using Chrome and the extension that I love using called WebPaint. So if I am on Control-Shift-T, and Control-Shift-T works for every website opened since they turned their computer on. So just don't keep opening it. You might be surprised. But let's say that I'm on here, but I want them to actually annotate on top of this text in real time. They click on WebPaint. Here's my pencil. And they can write right on top of everything. And it follows the web page. It isn't just static on top. It follows all the way down. You can close it out. And when you open it up again, the annotations remain on that web page until you clear that screen. Once again, being able to interact with the internet, being able to leave sticky notes, being able to highlight, being able to annotate on top of it is incredibly important in the learning process. Remember, note-taking needs to be an actionable item. Note-taking needs to be able to be done in a way that they are adding to their notes consistently in multimedia fashions. We're not just retyping what we're reading. We are interacting with it. And now they can take this and app smash it with awesome screenshot, or this tool actually has a built-in screen capture. So once they're done with their annotations, they click, and it's right there. They can just push that into Google Classroom, or they can move it right in to their note page, right there. So once again, the important thing is making sure that your students is not just taking in the information, but interacting with that information in some fashion. Now, when we are actually having our students interact with these columns, there may be a moment where you're like, there's not enough room. There's not enough room on this document. It's too long, right? The students will look at it and be like, that's a long document. Well, you can trick them a little bit by changing up the format of your notes. Remember, you're not going to have them print this. So we can't act like this is going to be printed on a printer. So we don't need the 8 by 11.5 anymore. So we can come up here. We can go to Page Setup. And we can go to Tabloid. Now we have much more room, so much more room for activities. And we can move our documents over. What if our students go, well, you know what, I want a column for writing, but also a column for images. Okay, right-click, insert column to the right. Now you have 3 column notes. The great thing about it is it's completely malleable. For any function, for any reason, you can change it up. The idea of the focused note-taking concept is that the right note for the right student at the right time. Not just the notes you want them to do, but the note that's going to help them remember the most as well. Now, of course, we have all of these tabs open, right? And we have our students, let's say they're researching, and they have all these tabs open and all these great things, but the bell's about to ring. What would they normally do? Close it, come back the next day. I don't remember where anything was. I don't remember what we were doing. Or you maybe have somebody that's, I'm going to bookmark each and every one. I used to do that, and now I'm stuck with this thing, right? That's crazy. This is where bookmarks go to die, truthfully, right there. So the great tool that I love using is One Tab. So what I would do is I tell the kids, okay, let's pick up, One Tab it. So they click on One Tab. It takes all of your tabs and puts it in a nice, easy list. And it stays there. And so the next time they open up their computer, it'll open up to this page. They click Restore All, and it opens all their tabs right back up. Quick, easy, simple, and now you're not losing instructional time having them spend 5 minutes bookmarking all these different tabs. Quick and easy. If you're at this conference and have all these tabs open from all the sessions that you went to, just click One Tab. You click One Tab, share as a web page, and now you send that link to any of your fellow teachers who wasn't able to make it to any of the sessions and say, here's all my tabs and links that I found in all my sessions, and now they have access to all of them as well. Quick, easy, and simple. I have teachers who do this to all of their documents, One Tab it, and then they put that QR code in their students' classroom. So if they ever want any of the resources, they scan it, and they all appear right on their phone. All right, now I save the best for last because it is a complete app smash. Now, if you don't know what an app smash is, it's using one app and then another. That's an app smash. A super app smash is an app and then an app and then an app, smashing it together for a really interactive experience. So one of my favorite app smashes to create a learning artifact, but also transform it from that individual activity to a collaboration activity, is the Google Jamboard, Screencastify, Flipgrid app smash. All three of them together. Raise your hand if you've used the Google Jamboard. A few of you. The Jamboard, when it first came out, right, it was that $6,000 panel from Google, but they had the web version, and the web version was kind of kooky. They've added a whole bunch of features to it to really make it more robust. So what I can do is I can open up my Jam. And I've never tried this before, but I'm going to have everybody join the same Jam. Let's see how that works, okay? So I'm going to click on my Jam. I'm going to open it up. And a Jamboard is basically an interactive whiteboard, a collaborative whiteboard for anybody. They can do it individually, they can do it in groups, or you can do it a whole class. You can have up to 16 pages right up top, all the way across. So I have my students work in groups of 3 and tell them, find a Jam, find a board, and put your names on it so nobody takes it. And I'm going to share this with all of you, and you're all going to edit it. So notice we don't have a Google Classroom, and there's no way you're going to type that in correctly if I say, okay, type that. So there's a great little tool, again, called Crafty Text, which allows you to paste any URL and quickly shorten it in one click. So it's shortening it for you right now, and then boom, it appears right on the screen. So if you could type that in for me, it should take you right to our Jamboard. The great thing about Jamboard is that it's web-based, so it doesn't matter what platform you have, it will still work. Crafty Text. And I can start seeing all my anonymous animals appearing right up at the top. If you do have a Google Classroom, you could paste this in Google Classroom, post it to the whole class, and they can have them do it. If you'd rather not have the whole class do it, you would tell the students, the group leader open up a jam, and then share it with your other 2 group members and the teacher. Okay, a few more seconds, see if you can join it. And so I can see everybody in here adding things. I can open up this tab and see everything happening in real time as well. This looks like one of those 80s Atari games right now, everybody drawing on top. You can notice it does get a little bit crazy, so it does take some time to get the kids to understand, hey, find your jam page, and that's the only one you're going to work on. And if somebody overtakes your jam, just go to another one. There's no need to fight about it. And everybody's drawing and writing. Good broccoli, whoever drew that one right there. They just added the function now to add an image to this. Amazingly, that wasn't part of the original rollout, which to me was crazy. But they have added it in. You can put it in. You can make it smaller. You can annotate on top of it. This is great for math classes to show knowledge. Hey, solve this problem. And every page has a different problem, and the kids have to work it out. When they're working it out, you want them to be able to discuss their knowledge while they're working it out. That's where Screencastify comes in. Screencastify is a recording tool, just like the awesome screenshot, but instead of just 30 seconds, it can go up to 15 minutes. Now, you don't want your kids to record that long, because that's going to be a lot of watching stuff. But being able to record over 30 seconds is very important for this. So what I'm going to do, this is the first app. Now we're going to smash it with Screencastify. So I'm going to click on Screencastify. I'm going to hit record. Notice it is a picture-in-picture. If the students don't like that, they can easily turn it off by clicking on the camera right here. I like having it on because I actually use this to do this. Okay, everybody look over here. So I use that as a pointer so the kids can actually get interactive. Down here, somebody's writing. But everything that I'm doing and saying and being recorded is going to be on there as well. If you want to annotate on top of this but not mess with everybody else's annotations, it has a built-in annotation tool. So I can come in here and write over the top, but it's not writing on your screen, so it's not messing up with the actual jam. And what you'd have the kids do is say, okay, so the way that I would go about finding out how to do 4 plus 4 is that I would say that there are 4 dots here and 4 dots here. So if I count all dots, that equals 8. So 4 plus 4 is 8, right? And that's how the student's mind works. Then when they are done, they just hit stop. And it automatically places it right here. It automatically uploads to their Google Drive. They don't have to know where they've saved it. If you want them to place this in a slide snap, it can be easily placed into a slide snap. But here is the ultimate app smash. So we had Jamboard, we smashed it with Screencastify, and now we're gonna ultimate smash it with Flipgrid. Raise your hand if you've used Flipgrid before. Good. And Flipgrid is pretty awesome. It's a great tool. Most people use it as just a face recorder. But you can actually drag any video into it as long as it's under, I believe, 100 megabytes. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click on this little download link, save it to my disk. You don't have to know where it's saved. All you need to know is that it's down there in the corner. You would push out a Flipgrid to your students. Let's say that CUE19 is the one that we're on. Here we go. Normally, you would have your students click on the record. And when they click on the record, they would just record their face and their audio right here. Now, a lot of teachers say, well, my students are afraid to show their face. My students don't want to be on the camera. If you're doing math, you can just have them hold up a whiteboard and explain what they have done. So you can cover their faces up if you want. But I'm not going to record my face because we already recorded something. I'm going to click on Options. I'm going to click on Import, and all I do is drag and drop. And it's done. Everything that we did on Jamboard, everything that we recorded through Screencastify is now drugged into our Flipgrid. And so I click Next, Next, and Submit. It uploads it right to the grid in a matter of minutes. Waiting. Come on, you can do it. Well, it'll upload, and it actually creates that image where the other kids can now watch each other's mindset on how they approached that problem, and then they would reply back, hey, that's a great way of approaching it. I never had. And then you as the teacher can grab your favorites and put it in an ultimate grid called a mixtape and play the best ones at your open house at the end of the year. And just parents walk through and just watch all the students coming through. Oh, congratulations, I finally on it. And it's automatically right there. Nice, easy grid. I call this the Brady Bunch screen because everything's stacked up on top of each other. But if a student wanted to see my approach to this problem, they would click and they would watch it. If that resonated with the student, they click reply and they'd say, 3, 2, 1. Hey, that was a great video. I never thought of approaching the problem that way, so that was a very good tip. Thank you very much. Next. Selfie. Kids love adding the emojis. Always wanted a dragon. And now the student can watch their video and everybody's replies to that video. One of the things I always get told is the kids are too embarrassed to record themselves. And I tell the kids to stand up, tell them look at each other. You know what each other looks like. There's no difference, right? You're all looking at each other, so it's on there, so you're good. But I also tell them, look, you do this outside of class all the time. You have no problem recording yourself, doing that great grind on the staircase that you're not supposed to be doing. You have no problem taking a picture of you guys going to In-N-Out and, eating a double-double animal style. You have no problem doing that in real life and posting to strangers. Why are you afraid of posting to the class that can already see you and hear you, right? And so we kind of go through that, like it's okay to do a social media-like event in the classroom. It's okay to be proud of learning, and it's okay to be proud of knowledge. So we've done all of this. We've done notes, we've done grids, we've done websites, we put these artifacts within Google Classroom. But now, guess what? It's all over the place, right? It's not in a single location. If you're trying to use Google Classroom as a tool to keep everything together, it's not gonna work. Google Drive, don't even get me started. Mine is crazy. I had a friend, Kyle Anderson. He's my partner in crime for the podcast for Sons of Technology, and he says, I had to go through your drive and clean it up because I just couldn't stand it. I was like, oh, that's crazy. So how are you gonna encapsulate this learning in an easy format that they can easily go back to and review? And that's where the new eBinder comes into play that we have created for the Summer Institutes for Avid this summer. So this is what it looks like, and just really quickly as an overview, because I know we only have a few minutes left. The idea behind the eBinder is we didn't look at it as an eBinder. We asked ourselves, what is the purpose of a binder in general? What's the purpose of a binder, period? And the idea we came up with is that it's a place that you should collect your work, easily collect your work, a place you can reflect on your work, and then also a place you can recall what you did. So we call that collection, reflection, and recollection. So how can we do this in the digital world? So in the eBinder, we break it up per module, but for your class, it may be per unit. Right? In science, we had 6 units, 3 in the first semester, 3 in the second. And every unit had like 6 tasks that they had to complete. So that's what we have. We have our units right here. Every unit has a driving statement, meaning all your tasks are going to come back to try and answer this question. You need a place where you finally make that connection to quickly jot down some notes. So we have an idea table right here in the module. And then finally, at the end, everything should be encapsulated with what, how, why, and then connect it. So what did we do? How does it connect to our driving statement? Why did we do what we did? And how did that connection be made in my brain? So that's our module or unit section. And then the key to this is always your task page. Every time you have a task, a project, a lab, an assignment, they create a new task page. They should know why they're doing that task, so that's what the essential question is about. You as the teacher may have a couple sentences saying, while we're doing this task, think about these things as we are discovering what's going on. A place for their notes. The notes can be taken directly on this sheet. You don't have to do them in a Google Doc, but if you did, you can easily embed them into this by double-clicking. If you as the teacher had any handouts like a PDF or a Google slide presentation and they handed it out through Google Classroom, they can easily embed that into this document. All the learning artifacts that you have created with our web clip art tool that we showed you or any of the videos that we created with Screencastify, all of those can be embedded right here as a learning artifact. And then finally, their learning blog, right? How do these activities help me understand what the question was about? How do these activities connect to our driving statement in our module page? And how can all of this work to understand what we're doing? The idea behind this is that it's a story, because learning is a story. There's always a beginning of trying to figure out how to do something. There's a middle where you finally discover, and then there's an end, recollecting what you've done. And the approach to the e-binder is, how can we tell their story on a daily basis, and a place they can easily collect that information so that they can reflect on that information and recollect on that information daily, not after the fact. And so that's what this e-binder structure has been all about. And the trick of this is they don't have to make a task page all over again. We have a little invisible task page at the very bottom that they just hit duplicate, drag it up to their module, and then type on it. So they don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time. I appreciate each and every one of you coming and spending an hour with me. I appreciate each and every one of you for the amazing things you do for kids and the amazing things you do for the educational process. Please, please, please connect with me on Twitter at JoeMarquez70. If you need any resources, like what was that tool you showed? Give me the link. What was that? Please, please, please feel free to tweet at me and I'll respond. All of this information is on my website, sonsoftechnology.com. And if anybody wants to come and chat with me after, please do so. And if you did tweet and you want a sticker, please see me as well. Thank you so much, everybody. You have a great rest of your day, and hopefully you drive safe when you leave. Thank you.